One of the most complicated and time-consuming parts of any deck project is the stairs.
And Quickstep by Regal Ideas has made it easy for you with 5 simple components. The stair stringer, which is aluminum and powder coated, comes from 1 step to 9 steps.
The stair treads are a fiberglass and S-glass, and they're super durable.
We've got an aluminum riser, which keeps everything nice and closed in.
The mounting insert for the tread, and all the fasteners you'll need. First thing to do is determine how many steps you're going to need for your project. For this one, we're going to need a 3-step system. Let's get to the install. A common mistake that people make is installing these stringers first. Now, you're not going to want to do that because that's going to make your life more difficult.
Because all of these treads screw in from underneath, that's going to make screwing in this bottom tread next to impossible. So we're going to show you an easier way to install this. You'll want to pay close attention to your Quickstep treads. They've got a top and a bottom.
They've also got a front and a back, and the front has these non-slip grooves for safety. Let's get into this install. So again, we're going to be doing this install upside down. So you'll want to make sure that the non-slip grip is facing forward. And then when you're installing on the bottom, one thing that'll help you is that these grooves are kind of your guidelines for where your screws are going to go in. So as long as your holes line up with these 2 grooves, you're good to go.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is mark out your 36-inch centers. An important tip for any tread that you're going to be installing a post on is you want to remove the end cap.
Then when you look inside the grooves here, you'll see a metal track that the screws go into. You'll get a pair of pliers in there and pull that out, and that'll allow you to put the mounting post insert into place so that this fiberglass doesn't get crushed. One thing to notice as well is you'll be given 2 of these. If your post is going to mount near the front of the tread, they're going to go in these 2 slots. If it's going to go in the middle, you're going to go in those 2 slots. It's very important to make sure you hammer these inserts past the edge so that you're going to allow for the end cap to actually sink into place.
Then you put your cap back on and you're ready to install your tread.
We suggest mounting the stringers 6 inches in from the edge. The post is a 4-inch mounting plate, so that's going to leave you lots of room to mount that into place. I do a little dash right over top of the groove where the metal track is on the inside to accept the screw. One of the advantages to using the Quickstep treads is you can go up to 36 inches center to center on your stringer spacing. If you're going to use another material, you're going to end up having to use more stringers to support the boards. With the Quickstep system and the treads, you only need to do the 2 screws that are going into the groove lines. You do not need to fill the other 2 holes.
As you can see, the Quickstep system is better built with a friend. Now they're done and ready to install. Regal Ideas also offers riser covers to go with the Quickstep system.
They come in black, white, and yard bronze.
They install just like this. A bro tip for your last riser cover, take a utility knife and score right in the crease of the riser. Once you've scored it, you can bend it back and forth to snap this little extra piece off and have it fit perfectly in place. The best part about that is it makes you feel like a superhero because you just tore apart metal with your bare hands.
Now use the same Quickstep screws to attach the riser into your stringer.
Now that the stairs are built, the last step is to fasten it to your rim board of your deck and down to the base of your deck. Now that our stairs are in place, it's time to add a Regal Ideas handrail to it.
There's 2 different ways of doing this. We can do a stair post at the bottom, or we can do an inline stair post. We're going to show you both, but first, the stair post.
So to locate where this post goes on your bottom tread, you're going to want to use a speed square and come off of the top post first. You want to make a line and transfer that down to the top tread. You want to measure that distance from the square to the edge of the tread and match that on the post down below.
So we've got 1 inch as our distance here. Bring that down to the bottom. Make sure we're 1 inch in. 1.5 inches in from the end of the tread. So make sure we are 1.5 inches in from the end of the tread. Once you have your post in place, you're going to take a marker and mark the 4 locations of the holes.
So now that all our holes are marked, you're going to want to drill them out. And for mounting that post to the quick step system, you're going to want to use Regal's MB3. That's their structural bolt. So it's going to go through and it's going to anchor to this 4-inch metal plate underneath. It's always important to take safety into consideration because we're working with fiberglass. So safety glasses on, safety first.
Now that those holes are drilled out, we can put the post into place. We have the mounting plate that's going to go underneath and act like a washer. The bolts are just going to go right down through and then a nut underneath.
So just like your regular post, you want to make sure that you leave this post a little bit loose, and that's going to make installing your universal bracket a lot easier. So now we're putting together your UAB, which is your universal angle bracket. So it comes with a top and a bottom mount, as well as a post mount. Now you want to make sure that you put these together so that they're going to contour to this angle of your staircase.
Now it's time to mount those universal angle brackets. Now Regal Ideas stair railing is best mounted to a 35-degree stair railing. So that's another advantage to using the quick step system, is you know that it's at that 35 degrees. Quick tip here for finding your heights. You're going to want to work from the bottom up. So take your bottom rail before it's cut to length, lay it across the tips of the noses of your steps, and then you're going to mark the intersection point between the top of that bottom rail and the post. When it comes down to your bottom rail that's loose, make sure you level it up. And you're going to mark that intersection point down here. Boop. Now just take your speed square, bring that line over to the center. Now that's going to mark the bottom of the bracket that you're going to mount to the post. To attach the universal angle bracket to the post, we're going to be using these little ceramic color match screws. They've got a self-tapping end on them, also made by Regal. Also very important, because you're screwing into aluminum, is to not over torque that screw, because it'll widen out the hole and then it won't have any grab. Now to set the top bracket, the magical number is 28 5/8. That's going to be your measurement, and that is going to be from the top of the bottom bracket to the bottom of the top bracket. When it comes to mounting the bottom bracket on the bottom post, you're going to find it difficult to get the screws in place when you have the post fastened to the actual tread. So what we suggest is to unfasten that and then lay it flat when you're mounting the brackets. Now that the brackets are installed, you can put the post back in place and fasten it, but still remember to leave it loose. So now it's time to measure your top and bottom rail. Make sure that that bottom post is nice and level first. And then we always just measure your bottom rail. Get a tape measurement, put your tape right inside that bracket. Hold this one up to where it's going to be, 34 inches. And then just cut your bottom and your top rail to the same length. That way everything stays nice and straight.
Dave here. I've got your pieces cut at 34 inches.
Thanks, Dave. So we're going to put in our bottom rail first, just like that, then our top rail. And this is why you leave that bottom one loose, so you can move it back into place and slide it in, just like that. For screwing in the top and bottom rail, you're only required to do one color match screw per bracket. Now for the bottom rail, you can just go straight in through the side. For fastening the top rail into the bracket, we suggest hiding the screw on the underside. You're going to want to pre-drill this screw though. Very important before you install pickets or glass that you drill out drainage holes in your bottom rail so that the water has somewhere to go.
So now that you've got your post and your top and bottom rail in place, you're going to want to level and fasten your post so that way it's secured. Once that's secured, you're ready to go to the final step, which is installing your pickets. Regal has a patent locking system on their pickets, and it's good for 35 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees. And it simply just locks into place. So you clip it into the bottom rail, clip it into the top rail, and if it slides easily, you know you've locked it in properly. So you want to fill it in with the appropriate amount of pickets. So now that you have the appropriate amount of pickets in place, it's time to start putting in your spacers. So the spacers just clip over top of the bottom rail and the same on the top rail. And now you can start spacing out your pickets. So now that you have all your pickets in place, you want to make sure that you space them out evenly from both posts. So you've got the exact same measurement, and then cut your spacers for the last ones. So now that you've got all your pickets and spacers installed and everything is nice and even off of the posts, you got to put your last spacer in right at the very edge. This can be a little bit tricky, but Joey's got a tip to make it easy for you.
When it comes to cutting the spacers to finish off your railing, these are very small, so it can be difficult to hold them in place while using your big miter saw. So what we like to do is use a cutoff of our railing, put that up against the fence, click your spacer onto the railing. Now you can hold onto that while you do your cut.
But let's remember, you're working with metal and a chop saw, so safety first, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
So now that you got your final spacers cut, you just clip those in place. You've got a finished rail, but don't forget to put your base plate cover around the bottom to cover up those bolts. Now it's done. There you have it. In 3 easy steps, you've got Regal Ideas stair system with a stair post.
Strong, durable, and maintenance free.